The Supreme Court has unceremoniously rejected the Texas lawsuit supported by 20 other states against 4 states that would effectively have overturned the election. That's the news for the night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Now let's talk about aliens. Alex Jones is joining me, and Michael Malice is... I'm kidding. We will talk about the SCOTUS stuff, but yes, Alex Jones is here. Michael Malice has returned. They've both returned with a vengeance because the last podcast we did got removed. And I said, as soon as it got removed, I was like, I hit both. I reached out to Alex and Michael and said, can you come back on immediately? And this is the soonest we were able to make it work. So
you wanted me on a few days later. I'm like, absolutely, but I got to leave town because I didn't have babysitters. But here we are, and I had a lot of fun. That was amazing last time, and I don't have a toothache today, so I am a little bit better than last time. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, right on. And Michael, of course, hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So we
I
also
am a
have...
gorilla. Murder yourselves.
What is that? What is that from?
It's a meme they made of us, that video.
Oh, they did.
It was really funny.
There's also a picture of you going like this with like the tinfoil hat.
Oh my gosh.
So earlier, I think Luke posted this photo. We had Alex stand in front of the green screen for a few minutes, just saying whatever. So we have.
I'm going to do it again later because I didn't get what you were saying. I thought I had to do something because I'm too dense. You're like, later. No, we got some good stuff. It's you doing different poses. Then I got it. So I was a little bit dense there. But let's go back to this.
Andreas, who's chilling over, he wants to make videos of like music videos of you dancing and stuff.
Can I ask you one question? Because you do the live streams. I've been kicked off YouTube for a few years, so I get to live vicariously through you. I watch the show all the time. I knew Radowski was here. I've been watching him all week at your house. But I'm sitting there trying to figure this out. It had 900,000 and something views that night. The next day, it was still 900,000 views. Then it goes to like 1,003,000 and then goes away. So how does that work when you obviously we had 3 or 4 million views?
We actually had a total of like 2.3 million.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
2.3 million. So
I feel like Newsmax.
but the
Newsmax wishes they had that.
the front,
Their top show is at 200,000. I'm not knocking them, but that's what I'm saying. You guys are like, oh, YouTube, don't ban us. We worship you. The goddamn show's got millions of viewers. It's bigger than Tucker Carlson. That's what I'm saying. They got us eating out of their hand when we bring the whole game to them.
I don't think they care. I think
right,
they want to be Netflix. They want us to sit here.
Bourgeois respectability.
Yeah.
corporate
And listen. When they just issued this, YouTube made this ruling where they said you can't make claims about Trump and fraud or whatever. The report they put out was actually about their advertisers. It wasn't. They didn't care about fraud or anything. They're just like, look, advertisers, we're doing really nice for you. Please don't pull your ads off our platform.
No, and I agree. So we had a discussion before we went live.
Yeah.
Which I don't even want to go into because I want to move on from the election and cover other stuff because I'm typecast to always only cover the current political stuff. I'd rather cover the big classic conspiracy stuff. We're going to do that tonight. But
aliens.
This is process.
GNT.
Texas filed a suit saying that the legislatures of these other 5 states did not pass a law to take mail-in ballots, and so it was mute. Well, the Supreme Court just threw it out. Big defeat of Trump. We should be able to look at that, give our opinion. Doesn't mean we're the Supreme Court, and that's it. Everyone knows it's our opinion. Let the public judge that. But then we're on pins and needles. Well, I mean, do we say it's a fraud? Do we say it's not? No, there's no been proven fraud in a court. That's true. So, but again, how do we not even like walk around on eggshells around the edge of that?
You can't even give your personal opinion. Well, I mean, you can, but if it's an unacceptable opinion, you're gone. So they pulled down Scott Adams. You guys see this?
No.
Scott Adams had his video pulled down. I don't even know what he said, but he's look. He's got his bombastic.
He's
moments,
very centrist, though.
But he's I think he's very
he's pretty liberal,
calm,
non-threatening,
and tame. They took one of his videos down, sent him an email saying you're gone.
And that's the crazy part is when they ban something you do or they ban you, you never know what it is. And then once they've banned you, I've experienced this. Then they can say whatever they want. Like, Jones won't quit saying this. And most of the time, I never even said that.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter. I have no voice, and so they can say it.
Let's give another example. Sorry. Like Laura Loomer, right? She got banned everywhere. Like, she became the nominee for, I think, the 21st District in Florida. The day she won the primary as the Republican nominee, they changed the rules, and they didn't say, except for Laura Loomer, they said, blah, 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 and they frame it in such a way that you dig the road just to have this person on the far side.
It's gerrymandered.
One thing, One thing they've consistently
That's exactly
done,
right.
They say that, this person was manipulated using other accounts to manipulate things that they won't prove and you can't defend yourself against. So I guess you can call it defamation, but it never gets anywhere. Twitter just says, we banned them because they were operating multiple accounts behind the scenes.
Well, exactly. They call it, here's the other thing happens. I know lots of people I talk to later go, I've been on your show before, but they banned my account saying I work for you. I've only talked to you like twice. So these people are getting banned because they're telling them you work for Alex Jones just because they promoted something I was doing. It's very, very frightening. But here's what's more frustrating. I just want to say this up front. I'm not running away from Trump. but the media acts like I got some bonanza supporting Trump. I got sued, persecuted, and banned. I'll have more listeners with Joe Biden then. It's not like I'm like in some Trump cult, but they made me the Trump cult leader, and so they won't let me not be that. That's what I'm saying.
But they made an example out of you.
Exactly.
Because you can, to some extent, afford it, but this is telling everyone else, you're next. You stay in line. Do you want to be a hero? You got a family. You got kids. Yep. We're going to come for his
That's
job.
It. They 100% made me an example. And what I'm telling people is in the process, I'm a tough guy, I can handle it. But I was the formula for everybody else where once they deplatform you, they can, so let me give their threats for them. It's not that you've been shut up. It's that they can say whatever they want about you. Right. They can misquote you and you cannot respond. Yeah. You're like frozen in the Phantom Zone like General Zod, and they're out flying around doing whatever they want.
But you're not frozen in the Phantom Zone. You just get non-corporeal. Come on.
But at a certain point, check it out with this Hunter Biden stuff. They suppressed the story heavily.
This really grinds my gears. I know.
Are we allowed to go here?
Yeah, of course. I
got 9 inches.
Okay.
I snapped as much as Tim Pool can. I got mad because we went through big tech banning the story. Twitter literally shut down the New York Post reporting on this huge story that Hunter Biden was crooked. And these emails were coming out showing that even like Joe was facilitating this with the flight on Air Force Two. And they say it's all fake news. It's all Russian disinfo. They refuse to report, refuse to cover it.
They don't debunk any of it. They just say it's not real.
And then 1 month after the election, what do they do? What a politically explosive story we just discussed.
Attorney General blocked it. It turns out Barr blocked it during the election. Exactly.
And then it becomes, well, if it was real, for average people, if it was real, how come I haven't heard about it?
Exactly. But that's why.
You've heard the Hunter Biden tapes. I mean, they don't deny they're real. But he's like, literally, I met with the head of communist Chinese intelligence. The Southern District's going to indict me. My daddy's scared. I mean, these are real tapes. And we're like, Twitter's like, it's fake, blocking it, and now it's all confirmed to be real.
And I'm going to put on my Alex Jones tinfoil hat. The guy you guys saw, I'm sure, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, he had that. Jeff Zucker was the head of CNN. They found his audio. They leaked it. The guy who's the political director of CNN, I forget the guy's name. He had been at Yahoo News. He was fired from Yahoo News because he said, got caught with hot mic, that Mitt Romney doesn't care if there's a pool full of African-American kids who drowned. Wow. So instead of when someone says something that outrageous, they're not driven out of town. Now he runs CNN's political department. These people always fail up. They do not have consequences for their depravity and malfeasance.
It is the revolving door.
They're rewarded for lying.
The incentives are there, correct.
Well, I can explain it to you because I work for these companies. Let me break it down for you. There are always people who say, if you publish a fake story, you'll lose your job. Look at these guys at CNN. They got fired, right? And I say, right now, there are 2 guys who worked at BuzzFeed. One guy was caught plagiarizing. One guy was spying on a rival news organization. And then what happens now? They both got rehired at other big firms. There is a guy who I worked with who killed a huge story about the New York Times manipulating content. And now he works at the New York Times. It's a revolving door. And you know why they like the liars? There's no grand conspiracy between the editors of these companies going, we need to find a bunch of liars. It's them seeing someone write a story that benefits them going, I like stories that benefit me. Yes. Hire the person who writes things that make me look good.
It's all about responding to incentives.
They all go along with the system.
Yeah, right. Because it's evolutionary. Otherwise, they'll get weeded out. The idea that you can gay bait someone like Joyanne Reed back in the day and just have these really nasty kind of like little innuendos. If you look them up, they're really offensive.
She claims she was hacked.
And then you say you're going to call the FBI. Like if someone calls the FBI for something that they did, this person should be facing legal consequences. Instead, she gets a promotion. And that's what I think is increasing the case with the average American when they realize these people are not playing by the same rules that even remotely port to anything I understand.
Look at Brian. It was Brian Williams. Is that who it was?
Yeah, he's saying
shot down in a helicopter.
And they like just moving to MSNBC, I guess, because you know what
they did.
But you know why? So he was on what NBC News, right? Was that Brian Williams? And then once they realized that he was making things up, they were like, well, who would be more willing to accept made up things?
MSNBC.
Hyper partisan leftists watching MSNBC. So they moved him over, and he carries on. It's. Are you guys familiar with the Gell-Mann amnesia effect? Michael, are you? No. So this is the name was made up to sound funny by this like academic. The idea is you're reading a newspaper. On the front page, it says something in which you are an expert. Like it would say Michael Malice.
Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
So you'll be like, that's not true. But then you turn the page and you see a story about someone else, and you go, wow, I didn't know that. You forget they lied. So you have these people who seemingly don't remember that Brian Williams literally was making things up and going around and admitted it. And they put him on MSNBC and people are just clapping along and cheering for it.
Because there's that, quote, credibility. He's like, yes, I was in a helicopter shot down by an RPG. Well, I remember that wrong. You'd remember whether you were shot down in a helicopter.
Look at Joe Biden in the 80s. When he just was taking the life stories of other people.
Well, how did that change?
Plagiarizing?
Because he was running for president, and then he had to resign in the middle of it. And from the campaign, he said, I did this to myself. I'm sorry, it's wrong. Basically destroyed his career, but it's not. He's about to be the president probably. And he literally would just take he would take the Kennedy stories. Whatever the Kennedys said about themselves, he would composite JFK, RFK, and others into his life story and just repeat total lies. But back then he had to step down. Today, like you said, there's so much information that it is like a form of amnesia because they don't remember. People don't remember.
This Tara Reid thing just was here and gone. How could people forget
because
about
the
that?
the media, they memory hold it. They were like, it's bad for Biden, get it out of there. It's a right-wing conspiracy theory.
Here's something I think I'm the first person to break, and I'm going to break it here. I got paid $1,000 to read Kamala Harris's book.
Ugh.
And in that book, she makes the claim when she was running for either Attorney General or Senator, I think it was Attorney General from California, that a Democratic operative got on stage with her at UC Santa Cruz, somewhere else, and said, no one named Kamala, and especially from loony San Francisco, is going to get elected statewide in California. First of all, after Barack Obama, that's absurd. Yeah. Second of all, California isn't going to elect or like a woman with a weird name. No one, and this story is in various organizations, political, they all repeated it, which she was obviously the source. I try to look up, this would be a huge backlash. If anyone said this to anyone, like with a name like that, you can't get elected, you would think that person would be canceled immediately. They've never fact-checked it, and it's nowhere online other than from her. And because they don't care.
They're PR firms. We had, was it Matt Brainerd who said that?
It was a Will.
It was Will?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Said that the news organizations are PR firms?
Will talks a lot about how he really hates how everything now is PR.
Pretty sure that was Matt Brainerd, who said the New York Times is effectively a
they both
PR
said
firm.
It. I've heard it a couple times.
It seems like it's been propaganda the whole way down since the inception of human history, except for little bouts of freedom, like the American Revolution, when they didn't have a central bank for a short period of time before the United States got re-co-opted.
Who was the president who shut down the first one? Was that Jackson?
Yeah, it was Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
said,
mad.
I killed the bank. All I know is you got an incredible steakhouse down the street.
And they tried to kill the guy.
Oh, is that? Oh, well, we shouldn't say what it is, but so let's do this. Let's do this because we're definitely getting ahead. Let me just
here in Missouri,
aliens.
Yes,
here in Missouri.
That's right. Here in Missouri.
Right. let's I just want to read you guys what's happened with the Texas court case because I know we're going to open this. This
is a big deal.
Check it out. So I got the actual filing here from SupremeCourt.gov. They say Texas v. Pennsylvania. The state of Texas's motion for leave to file a bill of complaint is denied for lack of standing under Article 3 of the Constitution. Texas has not demonstrated a judicially cognizable interest in the manner in which another state conducts its elections. All other pending motions are dismissed as moot. Statement of Justice Alito, with whom Justice Thomas joins. Quote, in my view, we do not have discretion to deny the filing of bill of complaint in a case that falls within our general jurisdiction. See Arizona v. California, 589 U.S. I would therefore grant the motion to file the bill of complaint, but would not grant other relief, and I express no view on any other issue. And then they also note Goldman Sachs v. AR teacher retirement Satori was granted. I don't know what that case is, but it's kind of funny to see Goldman Sachs versus the teacher retirement below Ian's face. He's like, what? Yeah, that's on the document too for whatever reason. I don't know. But
I'll say this. I'm not going to just give people positive news. I mean, I think clearly there have been anomalies. There's been problems with accepting these 80 million mailed out ballots. That was the Democrat strategy. They said, we're going to hold up this election. We think there's going to be a red mirage where it looks like Trump wins. We're going to be counting for months. And even if he looks like he wins, we will not accept his inauguration. We are going to have our own inauguration. That's what John Podesta said to the New York Times. All that went on. As soon as Trump has a problem, he says, I'm going to challenge this. Oh, it's terrible. It's crazy. And Matthew McConaughey said that last week with Russell Brand. He said, listen, maybe the Republicans are in denial. Trump lost, whatever. But to act like it's crazy for them to challenge this when that's all you did at the last election, you tried to block the electors, then you said he was a Russian agent. That's a fraud. So everyone saw that unfold. But I will just say this. I talked to White House lawyers. I talked to other top constitutional lawyers. They said the other suits aren't that good. The Texas case is the best. And they said if this goes down, it goes from a Hail Mary to a super Hail Mary. So I'm not going to sit here and sell people pie in the sky. I think we've gone to about a 90% chance now that Trump's going to have to capitulate.
It's more than 90 because there's no organizational will from the Republicans to do this.
That's it.
Well, there was 126 Republicans in the House signed on.
That's
if you
true,
could,
yeah.
I mean, they don't
look,
care.
I think it's 99. I've been saying it's 99.9% for Biden for the past,
No, you have been. But I mean, isn't that
3
because
weeks.
it's the illusion that he's elect? He's had the signs up. He's done it. And so they finally said he's a Russian agent. He's going to be gone. Didn't work. He's a Ukrainian. It didn't work. But finally, they used the election as the way to whatever really happened to say Trump's done. And I think just the perception of all our other elections that somebody wins, somebody loses, that's what's going to happen to Trump. And so the question is, Republicans aren't going to cry and scream and throw fits in the streets like the left did 4 years ago, like toddlers. But what is going to happen in this country? Before we went live, both of you guys were saying you think it really looks at societal, historical division and leading towards some very
What did you
dangerous
say?
points.
Divorce?
Yeah,
You're not the first person to come here and say that either.
I am the first. I wrote an article about
you really?
this in April 2016.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Saying it's time to disunite the states, that we've been held together with thumbtacks and strings since the beginning. There's at least 2 countries here, and we only got held together and one invaded and had occupied the other half. It's ridiculous that people, David Korn, I think from The Nation, he's a big hardcore cathedral operative, he was tweeting out, Republicans are trying to destroy democracy and have a coup. Every election's a coup. Every election is a lot of people do not want this person.
It's
and
electoral war.
Yeah.
It's all stylized war.
Yeah, and because you have more people, therefore I get nothing and I got to sit at home and shut up. No, I'm not going to
No, in a republic, everybody knows this, but I'll say it for those that don't. If 51% vote in a constitutional republic to enslave the other 49, you can't have it. But in a democracy, they had black stones and white stones in ancient Greece, and routinely they would vote to kill somebody. They didn't like what they had to say. And if 51% said kill you, they did. In a republic, folks, we protect property. We protect life. We protect self-defense. And we say, hey, there's certain things enshrined you can't do.
This may be misattributed to Benjamin Franklin, but the quote is
Fart proudly.
That's
misattributed?
definitely misattributed.
No, Benjamin Franklin
A
wrote
republic, if you can keep it.
Benjamin Franklin wrote an essay about you should be proud to fart. I'm not kidding. Look it
Oh,
up.
okay. Well, anyway, the quote I was going to
Historical.
say is, democracy is 2 wolves and a lamb deciding on what's for lunch.
They did. 2 wolves and a sheep deciding
A
what's for dinner.
republic is a well-armed sheep contesting the vote.
Yeah, I think that he did say that.
Yeah.
Say that again. I ruined it, interrupted it.
Democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep deciding on what's for lunch. A republic is a well-armed sheep contesting the vote.
And republics aren't invulnerable. Like the Republican oligarchy of Rome was eventually the military commander just took it over and turned it into
Which
an
is
empire.
Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon. But it was treason already trying to overthrow the republic that forced him to do that. I'm not defending Julius Caesar, but it's what I'm saying. People say, well, General Flynn said we need martial law, and Lynn Wood said we need martial law. And people are like, oh my God, I'm not for martial law, but we're already under blue state, blue city martial law.
Yeah, we are. And so this is something we were actually talking about like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Who brought that up? They were like, was it Will who said we're already
so,
under
yeah.
martial law? I was like, you get these, isn't it? It's crazy to hear people calling
These
for
updates
this.
on your phone telling you what to do. Don't go outside your house. It's outside regular law. Regular law is suspended.
Regular
The
law.
First Amendment to the Constitution, people know about freedom of speech and religion. It says the right to peaceably assemble.
Yep.
It doesn't say why.
Yeah, it says if I could get together with people. There's nothing more peaceful than a holiday dinner with your family, or maybe it's less peaceful.
Well, it says Congress shall make no law.
Yeah.
Respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or the people's right to peacefully assemble, or the press, or of all
you
that.
have no right
It's
to
all,
lock me down.
The government does not have a goddamn jurisdiction.
Right. And they are just completely brazenly ignoring
I'll
that.
tell you-
I'm sorry. If the government can just say, well, it's an emergency, so we can do whatever we want, then what the heck's the point of the Constitution?
It's like
at
a
all?
man raping
Right,
a
exactly.
woman. A man does not, or a woman raping a man, or a man raping a man. You don't have jurisdiction. You have to agree to it. And so literally, this is like rape. When they say you don't have a right to go out, but we do, and then they exercise their rights and we don't, they're doing that on purpose. This is rape.
I think the first and most important thing for people to understand too is it's against the science. It's the World Health Organization's top doctor came out a while ago and said is the last of last resorts, and it should be avoided, and it can be avoided.
The head UN envoy said, lockdowns, we were wrong. It's starving millions. And even Melinda Gates came out yesterday and said, we didn't know this would cause a collapse in millions starving to death.
272 million are expected to starve to death in the third world in the next year
And by the way,
because of the
fact
economic
check
collapse.
that, YouTube. I was saying that 10 months ago. So what I'm telling you is the lockdown, whether it's real or exaggerated or whatever it is causing, because in the first world, okay, we lose our pension or you don't have as big a house or maybe you lose a few pounds. In the third world, a breakdown and a lockdown causes starvation and death. So when the West goes into depression, the third world dies. And we're talking about real Black Lives Matter here and other lives all over the world. Poor people are starving to death right now.
Was it in, I think it was Mali or some African country, Malawi, one of those two, where they were said, all right, you're going to have a lockdown. Even though they had no COVID. And they go, if we don't farm today, we don't have food tomorrow. Like we're day to day.
That's a good saying. If we don't farm today, we have no food tomorrow.
I don't know if they were.
If we don't farm today, we die today, they said.
They weren't
I don't
using
know-
it as a.
I don't know if they're as pithy as me because
No, the quote was, if we don't farm, we'll die within a month. Was the quote.
okay.
But,
Well, it's,
listen,
it's an interesting saying that could apply in any form
but
of.
let me
working
stop
hard.
interrupting because I've sped this up. Start over, Tim. You start over. The New York Times, the Washington Post admit 1 billion people set to go into total poverty, possible starvation. 2 million already starved to death. 200 and something million, I forget the exact number, are on the verge of starvation because of the lockdown, not the damn virus that's only killed 1 million worldwide. So let's talk about that.
Can I go full Alex Jones?
No, but I mean,
No,
Tim was already
perhaps.
interrupted.
I mean,
I'm going to go full Alex Jones. I'm sure you've been talking about this before, and you're not the first. There has been for decades beating the drums for having full-scale wealth distribution from the first world to the third world. This has been a thing that they've been arguing for a very long time. We need to jack up taxes in Europe.
That's
and
globalism.
America.
That's the Great
right,
Reset.
Right, and now they have a reason. Look, all these people are
But they're
starving.
not really going to give them anything.
I know, but this
Yeah.
is a great this is a great excuse.
Oh, you're right.
What, you don't want these people in Africa? You want them to be starving? 'cause
Michael,
of
the
this
Pope is
disease?
pushing that. This is it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and make your points.
That
about-
was my point. I agree.
Let's just get this.
Pope Francis is on board with the massive multinational billion-dollar
Yep.
corporations for the Great Reset.
But let me start over because this is so important. And I wasn't even going to go here because it's so serious, but because I wanted to have a lighthearted thing about UFOs and stuff. But start over. You can pull this up, this fact check this, because I don't want to get the numbers wrong. The UN says like 200 in YouTube. I don't have a perfect memory. Like 230 something million people.
272.
272 are about to starve to death. 2 million already starved to death the last 10 months. Was what I read in the New York Times.
2 million?
Yeah, like a week ago I read it. But who knows if that's real? The point is that I know folks who are in the third world. It's bad. Like you said, I mean, it's bad. These lockdowns are bad. So I'm saying if it kills 100 times more people having a lockdown, we need to stop this. I mean, and this is what kills the whole Malthusian lockdown.
And that's very globally, ethically thinking of you, right? Being concerned about how these other countries are faring because of what they're doing in these countries, right? I'm saying it's.
No, I agree. They're humans. So it's
If
gonna
we
happen.
want, if we want, this is the thing. We often hear that these people, with like the Great Reset, which is published on the World Economic Forum website, they're like, we're going to rethink capitalism and redo this to make it better for everybody because for too long, this, that, and this, and the bad things. If I actually, I don't actually believe these people when they say they're trying to do the right thing, because
They're doing right by them.
exactly, and it's an excuse. When the Pope comes out and says MasterCard and Visa and these big companies are going to redo capitalism the right way, I'm like, they're the ones who have exploited it with crony corporatism and revolving door politics.
It's like going to Hitler to learn how to fight Nazis.
Hitler killed a lot of Nazis, though.
Well, I guess you're right.
He killed the worst one.
You're
He killed the
Rome,
worst
and
one.
he purged his own people. You're right. Okay, touche.
And he killed Hitler.
That's true too.
He did. You're right. Okay,
point.
sorry.
He killed that
warrior.
master Nazi.
The worst one. The
It's
worst
like
one.
going to Stalin to learn how. I don't know.
Well, Stalin killed Nazis too. They were the first ones to
know,
ruin.
I-
Alex, come on, get it together. Let's
wasn't-
go. I thought you were a gorilla.
I wasn't going to the Nazi stuff. I meant it's like going to a fox to learn how to guard a hen house. But I guess
There you go.
There you
actually
go,
go
there
to
you
a
go.
fox to
Better.
learn how to guard the hen house because the fox.
Well,
is the
well,
best team.
hold on. I mean, Fox could probably tell you how to
Wait,
go
wait.
ahead.
Let's
what
wait.
I'm saying.
Let him keep trying till he gets a good.
No,
metaphor.
but he just said it. He just said
But
it.
it's cheating when he says it.
They're the worst offenders
Yes.
telling us how they're the moral
Right.
authority. And then in real practice, their lockdown is imploding us and the third world for them to consolidate.
I got it. It's like hiring the fox to guard your hen house.
Yes.
Because truth be told, if you got a hen house and you hire a fox is gonna be like, I'll tell you exactly how I broke in. And you're gonna be like, that's a good point. That's what I got to secure. If you hire the fox to guard the hen house and you wake up, you got no hens left, you know exactly why.
So it goes back to the original saying. No, it's the fox. Let's just say this. It's hiring Satan to stop the devil. I mean, it's like they're the guys doing all this, and then they're like, we're going to fix the problems. Their very policies are destroying and killing people, consolidating power. But they go, it's okay.
Did you see the Pineapple Hill video? Pineapple Hill Cafe.
Oh yeah, out of California.
What's this?
This is a woman, and she's outside of her restaurant.
Oh yeah.
She's got this. We've brought up a million times.
By the
so
way,
it's
we've
really-
talked to her. We can air this. She'll let you air it. I mean, we should play it. Go ahead and tell people.
She talks about how they have an outdoor dining area. It's like this big gazebo tent and picnic tables. And
She shows it.
She shows it. The state said unacceptable, can't open. 50 feet away is food services for Hollywood production. Same exact setup. Totally okay.
Well, let's be
But
clear.
Hold on.
She separates the tables more. They have these huge tents 50 feet away, like you
But
said.
what did she say in the video? Everything I own is being stolen from me. The World Economic Forum published a Great Reset video. I think it was 4 years ago.
4 years.
And they said in 2030
You will own nothing,
and you will be happy.
Sorry, you're right.
Yep.
So when we see all of these things, that the end result is stripping away ownership rights of the poor, but the rich are doing better than ever. Think about
Big
who's
tech's
doing.
making record profit. That's the thing. The middle class is being disenfranchised. The poor is being starved to death.
Yeah.
The third world's being killed. And the people doing it are going, I'm so liberal. Look, the Pope's on our side. We love you. We're going to lock everything down for a couple more years, all right? And you're like, and when everything implodes, we're going to put you all on a universal income and make you take vaccines to get the money.
Do you see what Joe Biden's plan is for COVID?
Is it to crap his pants?
100 days of a mask and
It's basically what we've already been doing.
Yeah, Scott Adams made that point.
Yeah. It's so he's like, if everybody just wear a mask, it'd be done. And it's like, but we've been wearing masks
We're
for
good about it.
10 months.
But their argument is some people didn't follow it. It's their fault. But Sweden has the studies. Other have the studies. Mainline scientists, they go, well, it's not the UN scientists. Well, wait. The UN said lock everything down 10 months ago. They did it. Now the UN says we were wrong. Don't lock things down. It's causing a chain reaction, but still the bureaucracies do it. And then the other scientists say the masks don't protect you. Well, whether it's true or not, those scientists have a right to a voice to say that.
I was told by YouTube that as long as we adhere to what the World Health Organization says, we're good. And if you go against the World Health Organization, you're spreading disinformation. Then a top World Health Organization scientist came out and said lockdowns are bad and we should not do them. So what am I supposed to say now? Because the governors are doing the opposite of what the World Health Organization told us to do and what I'm supposed to be allowed to talk about.
So that's a question to both of you. Why are they, the British came out yesterday, the British government, and said, okay, we're suspending shots for under 16, for pregnant women and people that have any type of allergies because we're having, Bell's palsy
And it can only be administered in a facility with resuscitation measures readily available.
Wow.
So I'm not, listen, when I tweeted that, I had people calling me an anti-vaxxer, and I'm like, I am tweeting you the NHS's official publicly declared statement to keep people safe.
So that's my next question.
What are you criticizing
So
me
I'm
for?
asking, that's what I'm saying. What's the paradox here? Where they're like, oh, sorry, we've suspended the Australian shots for a false positive HIV test, and now, we're suspending the shots because it's hurting people, and then we're still full of crap. No, the truth is, vaccines have always had pros and cons. And when you accelerate, my biggest criticism of Trump was him getting on board with warp speed and going, oh, you want 2 years? I'll do it in 6 months. And now this stuff's killing people. You want to get on Trump's ass? There it is right there. But now the left won't do that. Remember just during the campaign, though, 2 months ago.
Are there actually deaths? I think there's side effects.
Well, no, what they argue is they go, in all these deaths in Europe and the UK and Australia, the big pharma runs it. So they go, well, we had 6 people die in this study and 4 die in that study and 2 die in this study. But we're saying we can't prove they died from the vaccine.
I need hard data on that stuff because here's what I can.
You can pull it up. You can pull it up.
So,
but you can debate that all day.
The important thing is, I think, letting people know the very, very specific government statements about anaphylaxis and Bell's palsy, like. These things are coming from the NHS.
Well, let me give you some real
You
headlines.
know what I mean?
Let's do this. 59 die in South Korea after flu shot. Pull it up. Okay, let's pull up another headline. This is just this week. Here's another headline. There's so many of these. 47 homeless die after being given flu shot. Poland. These are all real headlines. I see this in the news feed, AP, Reuters, but it's never a big national news story. It's like they cover the fine print. Okay, we're admitting it, but here it is, and it just comes up and it comes up.
Yeah, he is. He's right.
Yeah, I see
Well,
it.
so I'm trying to find a Microsoft approved source because you love NewsGuard so
NewsGuard.
much.
Oh, scroll down. CDC.gov.
I love Bill Gates.
Got to make sure it's news guarded.
Well, so I don't know how I actually had a plan for segueing into aliens.
Okay.
Because it was supposed to not get too serious. Like, we got to talk about this SCOTUS stuff.
Aliens are real.
But
But let's hit this. Why did today, or I guess yesterday now, in Australia, why did they stop nationwide all their vaccinations, their government-approved vaccine, which is an mRNA vaccine that goes into your very DNA, because the people that take it are having false positives. They hope they're false positives for HIV. Now, I told.
So this is the New York Times, by the way, that Alex is citing here. Australia scraps COVID-19 vaccine that produced HIV false positives.
Wow.
Right.
And this is the T cell counts.
So that's what happened, guys. I took a COVID-19 vaccine. That's why I had that positive test result.
Oh, hey.
Sure, Michael.
Of the dozens of coronavirus vaccines being tested worldwide, the one under development at the University of Queensland was the first to be abandoned. That's
Dude,
the official
they
New
rushed
York Times.
this thing so fast.
But I got to tell you,
They
no,
did. Trump did. Trump
In
did.
all
It's
seriousness?
Operation Warp
No,
Speed.
I mean, I've said this. Trump's biggest thing is how he said, I'll unlock the economy. I'll warp speed it. And I tried to halfway try to figure out maybe he's trying to take control from the Rockefellers and from Gates, and he wants to have the regular vaccine that isn't as dangerous, that actually just takes the attenuated virus. And no, he pushed the mRNA, and I'm not turning on Trump now that he's in trouble. I've been criticizing him for months, 8 months. The mRNA vaccine is a new form of vaccine. It goes in and reprograms the cells. It's a mutagen. Normally, you only have this in your body when you have cancer or when you're a baby in your mother growing. So this goes in and programs cells to actually mutate. And so I'm like, what's going on? Why are they doing this? This is insane.
This is how the Ninja Turtles happened.
Well, that was actually the Ninja Turtles was the chemical that was being shipped in through an alleyway that spilled into what's his face's eyes.
Splinter.
No.
Baxter Stockman.
Murdoch. Matthew Murdoch. Is that his name? Daredevil. So,
yeah.
You
So-
guys
so doesn't name
understand,
that
though.
Murdoch.
You guys understand that.
Totally just off the rails.
Listen. Right now, as we know this, any of this you can pull up. Wolfgang Wodarg is the head elected Global Commission EU science advisor. Like he's the good Fauci. He got with over 100 scientists. One of them was the former science head of Pfizer. They filed suit in the EU on December 1st and said, we've looked at the studies on the mRNA Pfizer vaccine alone. And it'll either turn your immune system off and drop T cells down to zero. There's these huge papers they attach. It's like, it's hieroglyphics. But these are like prestigious scientists. Or it'll jack it up and cause it a cytokine storm. And it looks like it attacks the placenta in women because the same protein in this virus is the same protein that's fast growing in the placenta. And they said it looks like it might give people HIV. That was 6-7 days ago, dude. I'm not a scientist. I read the paper, and 6-7 days later, it's in the New York Times that is giving people false positive HIV. So here's the deal. Fact check this. I don't know what's going on, but I'm scared.
I got let's play devil's advocate. If you have a vaccine that cures a potentially deadly virus, and the consequence is your AIDS tests aren't going to be reliable for a few months, is that really that bad of a side effect?
But why is it? Because the original, when the Indian scientists in March, late February, at their main Indian Technical Institute, the only Indian school, they got good scientists that bought the CRISPRs. It's worth billions of dollars. They have a multi-billion-dollar CRISPR gene editing reader electron microscope.
A CRISPR? What's a CRISPR?
It's a CRISPR.
Gene editing.
It's a gene editing. I don't understand. I read this stuff. They said, hey, this is a very dangerous chimera, 5 viruses, HIV delivery system. And they said it's not naturally occurring. It's synthetic.
Who said that?
This is the top Indian university. They said it's got gene edited P shuttle gene where they cut this in, and they go, it's so complex, it's above anything we've even got. This is like secret level stuff. Of course, it came out of the U.S., Chapel Hill, Obama, Fauci 5-6 years ago. It was illegal in the U.S. They moved it to Wuhan. They even came out in Newsweek. You pull it up. Fauci funded, we were here last time. Fauci funded.
It's North Carolina or South Carolina.
Yeah. Secret illegal gain of function stuff, North Carolina. Fauci funded controversial gain of function Wuhan lab. And so the Indians scanned it, then the Germans scanned it, then the Australians scanned it, and then others scanned it. And I had Dr. Francis Boyle on my show today, the guy that wrote the U.S. Biological Weapons Law and helped write the UN Treaty. And he's the head lawyer. He prosecuted Slobodan Milosevic. He's like a head UN prosecutor. And he said, no, the Australians, he was just on Australian TV yesterday on their national TV, on Sky TV. They reverse engineered off the CRISPR scan and made this new vaccine. And so when they copied it and made a vaccine out of it, that's why HIV shows up. It's a copy of the COVID, which has been attenuated.
A bit esoteric for me.
Yeah.
I can tell you about just the surface level. This one of the reasons why I think it's important to talk about the UK's warning on people under 16 and pregnant
Because that's
women.
confirmed. That's not debatable.
But it's just to get people listen. This is an official thing. I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm trying to make sure you know exactly what the National Health Service is telling people. They're going to be proving it in the U.S. Take this up into consideration and judge for yourself. But these are like official health warnings.
Why is the British government 1 week into giving the shot? 1 week into giving the shot, why are they suddenly saying under 16 don't take it, have an allergic response don't take it, pregnant don't take it? Why are they backtracking?
Because this is the trial. They're experimenting. This
Well,
is the
listen,
human
listen,
trial
listen.
right now. We're going through it.
Exactly.
But I think it's a little bit of an it's not necessarily an exaggeration. It's this whole thing was rushed through to the point where we didn't go through years of trials where they could have controlled groups and
It's the
studies.
Russians.
Yes.
And what does Han Solo say?
No, they rushed it. So now
Remember, Luke Skywalker says, "Why at the rate they're gaining, with the Star Destroyers chasing them off Tatooine when they fly off from Mos Eisley?" He says, "Hurry up!" He goes, "Too fast, kid. You bounce off a star or supernova. That'll end your trick real quick." Wow. So we've gone at warp speed, and we've actually run into a supernova here.
Star Wars, man. So do you think aliens are real?
Yeah.
Yeah, smooth transition.
Yeah, Tatooine
Such a
is real.
smooth segue.
Listen. Let's finish up. Because I butchered that.
No, we can talk
No,
about
you're
whatever
right.
now.
We need to calculate where we're going before we hit warp drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
reminds me. What was it? The original Star Wars, where they're like, if you warp from here, you might crash into something. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
he's like slow to.
Luke Skywalker's like, "Why aren't we going quicker?" The Stardust, he goes, "Dude, we got to calculate the nav computer, or we'll go too close to a store or bounce off a supernova, and we're dead.
Or go
That'll
through
end
a
your
sun.
trip real quick."
Go through a star, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I forget the exact quote. But, I mean, that's what, like, Trump's like warp speed with no,
No direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then he gets blamed with all the shit that happened. Sorry.
I wonder if
You just made a mess.
we talked about it last time a little bit, that some people look at humanity or humans as a liability, and that some people think like we can survive with this gross population, we can keep growing it, and we'll figure out ways to sustain. Other people are like, it's too many people, we have to just assume there's going to be calculated losses. Let's move forward.
And what you're saying is that we're all here having normal debates about life and friends being normal. The globalists, it's all about, do we exterminate most of the people to save the earth, or do we have this expansionist view? And within that is the debate of the Malthusian system or the Plato system of cull the public versus the laissez-faire expansionist system. And there's those two debates at the highest levels. And the globalist exterminist view is gaining the fore and is the dominant world system.
Who made the Georgia Guidestones?
Ted Turner is actually on record funding those.
Do you have? You want to do it? So my friends, we have a gift from Luke Rutkowski. He's actually sitting in the room. He's just chilling. But it's a game called.
My husband.
It's a game called. That's right. Well, I thought he was your kid, but anyway, there's a card game. It's a trivia game, and there's a bunch of different conspiracy theory trivia questions. So Michael actually has a bunch of the cards. We were. I'm going to tell everybody exactly what the plan was when we were going to do this. So when Alex and I were talking after the last episode got pulled from YouTube, we were on the phone, and Alex mentioned that the air has been sucked out of the room, and that where's the opportunity to talk about, DMT, aliens, space programs, and all that fun conspiracy stuff that like we got so entrenched in politics. And I was like, dude, I agree. Let's and then
Yeah, because Joe Rogan told me he was going to do that. I love Joe. I get in his studio, his interrogation.
You know what
Which is
happened?
Fine, but-
You know what happened? Alex walks in. And then I look at my tweet and it's like SCOTUS rules against Texas, and I'm like, oh, dude,
Maybe
like,
I think
we gotta talk about this.
It could be the elves that want us to talk about them.
And you can't,
else.
because current events are so crazy. Like, they're suspended the Australian because of the COVID vaccine, because of HIV.
That's weird.
That's the New York Times. I pulled it up. Like it's in the New York Times.
No, I mean,
So
I
it's
woke up at
true,
like
the
5
stranger
a.m.
than
this
fiction.
morning, and I saw that headline.
Alex, I gotta stop you. I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna blow your mind.
I'm like, all right,
Do you know what Monday is?
no.
Monday is December 14th. You know what happens on December 14th? Do you know?
On the 15th, they're going to start certifying the electors, and
That's the 14th. On the 14th, they do the electors vote. We're also going to have a meteor shower,
Oh,
It
a
peaks,
full
on the
solar
14th.
eclipse,
not a coincidence.
and a comet.
see how I guessed it?
And-
I thought it was the 15th.
Whoa.
Within the 14th and 21st, we are going to see the conjunction of Jupiter and
The
Saturn,
Christmas star.
creating the Christmas
Yes.
star.
Oh, wow.
So
Only ever 800 years.
Whoa.
So I'm not a superstitious
No, but the
person or anything.
globalists are obsessed with planetary alignments.
But like everything that's happening, it's not been. There's no orchestration behind the fact that the meteor shower and the comet are coming on this day.
That's what they want you to believe, Tim Fool.
Oh yeah,
we live in an electric
Dim
universe.
fool. I just read the news. Isn't it crazy though? Like so when I heard
Well, the
that,
Romans wouldn't go to war unless Mars was in the right deal. And as soon as Mars came around, they would go to war. So, I mean, every culture was obsessed with the planets.
Have you heard of the electric universe theory? That all forces are actually magnetism. Gravity is like a resonating frequency of magnetism.
Well, it's as above, so below. The alchemy is everything is a model of below it and above it. And so everything's connected somehow in the same models over and over again.
Definitely. It seems like an atom looks like a solar system. You have a central nuclei with orbiting
As
electrons.
above, so below.
Do you guys remember that viral video of the young woman?
The grape lady?
Who?
The grape lady?
Grape lady? Who's it?
That was like the first viral video. She
No,
The fat woman on a treadmill.
About a month.
Scarlet
The
takes a
dancing
tumble.
baby, I believe, was one of the first.
Yeah.
There's a young woman, and she's doing this TikTok video, and she's like, Biden is having accesses in his 7th house, and this means he's going to win. And the peak period, it's like this crazy astrology stuff. Well, Biden ended up, at least winning as far as where we're at right now. But she says the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is coming. It's a once in an 800-year cycle. And this means a dramatic change to the ruling to the system of ruling in the United States.
I bring up magnetic universe because if the orbiting structure of all of this is magnetic, and our brains have magnetic neurons, and
They
our
do.
stomachs have magnetic neurons, we're being this all.
Well, that's how birds and bees know to fly thousands of miles off magnetic lines. They now have proven we have magnetic cells in our brains.
And we're probably acting like those hordes of bees. Just if you zoomed out far enough and could look at it functionally, you'd see us. We mass in these cities like arterial
You have a question?
combination.
Hey, Alex, performing a terrible act that is publicly blamed on another organization or country is called what?
A false flag.
That's correct.
Yes.
What does he get for answering the question correctly?
You get a Mountain Dew.
How about some of that? What do you got there?
Oh, no, that's for later.
Give us another one, Mike.
Mike.
Questions?
Okay,
Oh,
Mike?
Michael, my love.
So
I guess we're friends now.
I legitimately
man.
am bringing up this like weird stars phenomenon. Is it just people making a joke about the day the Electoral College is being certified?
That's weird.
that the
I don't
meteor
think there
shower,
are any coincidences.
the once in an 800-year Jupiter Saturn conjunction.
is-
The planets are going to come together, aligned, creating one bright star. Like looking, it's the planets, but you'll see a bright light in the sky, bigger than
You ever
you've
seen
in
that movie,
800
Master
years.
and Commander?
No, I haven't.
Pretty good movie, but it's based on a O'Brien novel, but which is based on real naval histories of England. But they got this guy on board, they're having bad luck. And as soon as he's dead, they throw him overboard. The wind comes back and the ship can go on. And he looks over at the ship's doctor and he says, Maturin, not everything's in your books. And so there's just a lot of
I see.
weird interconnected stuff in the universe that we can all pick up on, we know is going
Dude.
on, but there's no way to quantify it because our sight is so, the whole light spectrum, we barely see one point on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plus there's all these other dimensions. We're basically like these blind creatures that only see in a very limited deal, so we're only picking up how the rest of it operates.
I was talking to. I'm going to be very vague on this, but I'll just say, after we did the show last time, because we talked about the elves and DMT and stuff,
Machine elves.
machine elves, and I was talking to Michael afterwards, and I told him about a very specific coincidence. I don't want to name because it could give away some personal details, but I mentioned like some weird thing happened where some numbers aligned in a very strange way at like the exact same time. Do you remember what I
Yeah.
And it was really, 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 what I guess what do you call it? Serendipitous? That's not the right word.
That is the right
Synchronicity?
word.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird things, very, very weird things. And it seems like throughout my life, at least in my anecdotal, experience, there have been weird things that pop up from time to time. Not in a great number of times to the point where I'd become superstitious or religious. Other people have these weird things happen all the time.
Well, listen, I have dreams because I've had a lot of political success and a lot of stuff. And now people ask how am I successful? I go with what I think's right. But I have had dreams, and they're dreams I always have. Like get really sweaty, I get upset. I hardly ever have a weird dream where I wake up like anxiety attack, like I've been somewhere else. When I was younger, it happened more, which is what all the literature says. You're more psychic when you're young. You're more attuned to the universe because you get more control of yourself as you get older. You learn to block out the universe. But I've had dreams that exactly come true. And it's always like a car wreck, being mugged, someone dying, and then I told people about this stuff and then later seen it. It's not like I had some one left side, right side deja vu where one side sees it first, the other side sees it, and you go, wait, I've already seen that. This is stuff where I've said, hey, a guy in a purple and green striped shirt pulls a knife out and stabs me in the arm, and I beat his brains out.
Wait, that happened in real life?
Yeah, and then like a few months later,
Was that a dream, or was that-
It was a dream. I kept waking up having it, like sweating, and then I'm buying beer when I'm like 16 for girls, and we're in Dallas, and we're buying beer illegally in the bad part of town, And then we're parked in the back of the liquor store, and so I come back around, and this white hobo guy in the same shirt attacks me, stabs me in the arm. I beat his brains out, whole 9 yards.
Wait,
and,
do you have a scar?
Yeah, it got blown me out. But the point is,
What noise did you just make? What?
yeah.
What noise did
What
you
was
just
that
make?
gorilla noise?
I got a lot of scars.
Oh, okay, that's it.
But the point is, I've had that dream, like it was nauseating because when I had those psychic dreams, like I've been to another dimension, like I time traveled, like I folded space, and I would wake up, and I never have these dreams hardly ever, but I know if I wake up and I'm sweating and I start puking, like I've been to another dimension. It's always in the future, and it's heavy, man.
What about you, Michael?
I think the way it's been explained to me, like if I write down these 3 numbers, 13, 9, 3, and 8, right? It's not going to mean anything to anyone. It's just like random numbers. But if I go through the alphabet and I tell you that the 13th letter of the alphabet is M, and the 9th letter of the alphabet is I, and the 3rd letter is C, and the 8th letter is H, the next in this series would be A, my name, Michael, which would be a 1.
Right.
So if you knew this code, you would be able to predict the next thing in the pattern. But that pattern had been there latently the whole time. It even if you never knew about it, it still would have flowed automatically. So when you take these kind of substances, is my understanding, you are perceiving patterns that other people are oblivious to. And here's a perfectly rational example of this. This is how
You're talking about DMT?
or I don't. There's a lot
Or
of these
LSD.
things.
LSD, all of it.
Here's another very, very simple example everyone understands, which is stock market traders, right? If I know the market and I see this BMW stock should be $40, but it's trading at 30, I know, okay, this is a buy, it's going to go up. Whereas if you don't know the stock market, these numbers aren't going to mean anything to you.
Right.
So it's about different forms of knowledge and being able to perceive information. And just like one last point, everyone knows this. If you look around this room, you see this 4 of us here, there's a bunch of people over there, there's spooky ghosts, but we tune out so much. And this is
That's where I was going. It's an evolutionary development as a baby that we can only see a narrow light spectrum and not the electromagnetic because we're filtering it out because we can't handle it. As we get older, we learn spiritually or through the pineal and all the rest of it to start engaging more of it. But then a lot of folks go crazy because interfacing with that is too much. Why? It's why we have an evolutionary development to block it out.
You said there were ghosts?
That's a joke.
What?
Oh,
I woke
I
up.
was like, you can see them too?
But let me tell you an insider trading story.
racist.
And this isn't like Martha Stewart. You hear a super big story, it'll be a big story.
Ghost story?
No, I mean, I'll tell you a story. Joe Rogan's a great guy. I've known him 22 years. He calls me up like 6 months ago, and he goes, "Yeah, I made the decision to go to Spotify. Don't tell anybody for about 3 months."
And then you went and just sold everything.
No, I haven't told. Well, I told part of it. Yeah, you know, that was a conversation a month later. I guess part of that's true. Yes, I forgot he called you about it. Yes, I forgot. What a small world. Maybe it's all just me, you, and Joe Rogan, and
No one else
Chris.
exists.
Michael, Mr. Malice, and that's all. You're all just NPCs. No, but seriously. He goes, "Yeah, I'm looking at houses. Where should I look? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of the censorship. I'm going to move over. Can I say this? Yeah, you can say all this except I'm moving to Austin." And then it was kind of a lot of heat on it. I might have embellished it a bit, so I backed off on what I said because I don't want to get Joe in trouble.
Joe Rogan's moving to Mars. He called me. I have the documents.
There's a moon base.
Well, I knew years ago that Elon Musk already lived outside Austin.
Okay.
He already lived there.
Well, I mean, he's
Rich enough
He's
to
got
live
rocket
everywhere.
bases in South Texas, North Texas. I mean,
He's
he's got houses there. But yeah, no, people know him. He's I don't want to say where he lives, but he lives right outside Austin. He's got a ranch, and that's where he lives about half the time now. But that's a side issue.
So the story.
Joe, I'm sitting there on my boat. I got my kids on the boat. I got some friends.
Hold on. What's your boat called? What's Alex's
It's just a
boat?
little
What's it
moat.
called?
It doesn't have a name. It's a blue ski boat.
Can you give it a name now?
Come
I'm
on, you got to name your
disappointed.
boat.
It's a
Yeah.
26-foot motorboat. It doesn't have a name.
It
You
should
can have
have
a
a
bigger
name.
boat.
Lil Jones.
It doesn't have a name.
Call it Dr. Malice.
Lil Alex.
We should
Anyway,
name it.
let's Alex, please finish your story.
It's a blue boat.
There you
But
go.
you're right. If it was bigger, I'd name it.
Okay.
Usually little boats don't have names on them.
It says I don't agree with
Michael's
you.
wearing a blue
Yeah,
shirt.
call
Can
him
we call
Dr.
it
call him
Little
Dr.
Mike?
Menace.
Governors to Gitmo.com.
All right. Please, Alex, continue
All right.
your story.
This is a real story.
All right.
Because some of you know this. You've talked to Joe. You do this, and you never thought like this. I bet money, Tim Pool. Well, let me ask you this question. When did Joe tell you he was going to Spotify? Because I know you guys are friends. You talk a lot. At least he's told me that. You've told me that.
I found out after the news broke.
Wow. Okay.
So,
All right.
so,
I
so-
guess you're
so-
not friends
So
after
no. Hold
all.
on. This was live on the show.
Cool.
This was live on the show. You made an announcement about Joe Rogan and Spotify, and then we were going to do a show, And I ended up, I texted Joe because I wanted to make sure I had confirmation. And during the show, Joe called me.
And you left for 30 minutes. I was
right. Yeah. And I got up and I went outside and talked to Joe about it.
I came home to eat dinner, and my wife, who's here downstairs, she's cooking dinner, watching it. And like, hey, Tim Pool says you're full of crap. And I'm like,
That's basically what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
NewsGuard approved.
Well, no, I mean, Joe listen.
He was so angry. He was yelling on the phone.
Was he really?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, but let me get to the big part. Joe doesn't think like this, neither do you. But I'm sitting there as a joke because I'm on this boat with these people, and I knew they wouldn't pay attention to me. And so Joe calls me. He goes, yeah, I've made the deal. I'm leaving. I won't announce it for a couple of months. I'm moving to Austin. I'm going to close on a place in a couple of weeks. But, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to go to Spotify. I go, okay, buddy, that's great. I won't tell anybody. Hang up. And I'm sitting there while these people that are friends with the family, they're nice lawyers, but they think they know everything. And they're talking about stocks and stuff later. And I go, I bet Spotify is going to go up. They're totally ignoring me. So I crack a beer, and I'm like, all right. And I knew that info, but I'm not in the stock market.
Wait, who are you with?
Just some lawyers and family.
I just love the idea that's your family and you're giving them useful information. They basically like taking classes to ignore you. They're like,
yeah.
guys,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about
That's how my sick humor works. So I'm on the front of the boat. They're swimming on the back. They're drinking beer, whatever.
What's the boat called?
It doesn't. Yeah. So I'm sitting there on this.
He's had it with me. Yeah.
No, but this is a real story.
Come on.
But I'm sitting. That's my sick sense of humor. Is Joe Rogan have a 10-minute conversation? I know he's going to Spotify for sure. He signed the deal. He just told me, but don't tell anybody. So I'm sitting there, and they're talking about stocks, and I bought this house here, and it's gone up 5%. And, oh, really? My 401k this. And I just, as a joke, because I never talk about, I go, I bet Spotify is going to be really big. And it's like, oh. Meanwhile, I didn't go invest in Spotify. I knew that was going on. I didn't tell anybody. I own no stock. It doubled when that was announced in one day. Wow.
It was huge.
And now it's even up more.
Yeah.
So you could have, you could have made $1 billion.
At what point
is
is
you
it?
get put in prison? But the point was, I knew that intel. That's why this information is so valuable.
Would you go to prison if you bought stock on that?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
There's the stock could have gone down because Joe's
He's not
controversial.
an insider. Insider is when you work for the company.
No, I agree.
And Joe is controversial. You could argue the stock could go down because of
Like
it.
last
Yeah,
night
but it
we
was a
talked
ge-
about
Not a good argument.
I
library.
agree. So why didn't I do it? Because it's black magic. I am only had my strength because I never engage in it. And here's how I work. If I start watching sports, all I do is watch sports. If I start doing something, I'm obsessed with it. So I can't invest, even though with my knowledge of stuff and my insider knowledge, I could make a ton of money.
Do you meditate?
I need to.
Dude, if you meditate, you're going to vibrate white energy across the universe.
Well, I'm ready to do it right now with Tim Pool. My wife's trying to get me to do it.
Oh, the plant stopped levitating. Look at that.
The plant's gone.
But the thing stopped levitating.
It's because someone was trying
But
to.
it's just that's
They were trying
that's a
to
truth,
get.
but how
They
cool
were
is that?
trying to get pizza and they knocked
But
it
think
over.
about insider trading.
You're not hearing me.
What could we have done? But Joe's a great guy. He trusted me with that information.
He had Dave Smith on instead of me. He's not that great.
Okay.
Very failed comedian.
You've
had
been on
you on.
Joe's show.
I know. I was supposed to be on before the election, and then he just leave me hanging.
Let me tell you though, the menage a trois I had with Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Were you the middle of that human centipede?
Yes, I was.
That's the worst part.
What do they call the lucky guy in the middle? That's
No,
me.
no, it's not the
Oh my
worst part.
gosh.
Of course it is.
The end is the worst part.
How?
Do you want me to go into detail
No.
about
Yes.
the
By the
digestive
way-
system
by
and
the
what
way,
comes out of the person
The
in the
middle guy's having the same thing.
By the way,
Yes, but the middle, I guess.
it's fake news. I did
Okay.
not have sex with Tim
Oh
Dillon.
my gosh.
I guess you're right because the person in the middle dies right away in the human centipede.
No,
and
they
the
don't.
From
Not
septic-
right away.
But they'll go into septic shock.
No, I thought they did the thing and basically that you can survive because they're like feeding them.
What?
So Tim, do you
They-
think when Joe Rogan
yeah.
told me he was going to Spotify?
Why are we talking about human centipede?
Because he was in one with Tim Dillon and Joe Rogan. I have the documents.
Oh my gosh.
So what is
Can
it?
you imagine that pay-per-view?
Oh my gosh.
How it would be
Okay.
more like pay per not view. Like I will give you money not to show this to me.
Exactly.
I'm only having some fun, man.
Do you think that
How did we? Wait, we were talking about.
How did we go
I
there?
want to talk about
What,
pure
how did we get
energy.
into the stock and Joe Rogan?
No, I was giving you
About-
an example of insider knowledge.
And that's
Dark
what I was
energy.
saying. How
Listen.
I wanna-
I actually know all about COVID. I know where it's going, all this stuff.
I wanted,
no one's ready for this.
I wanted to say something to what you were talking about, these numbers. I was once sitting at a Starbucks in New York City, and I was sitting at the window bar having like a coffee, and right across the street I could see a wall with black streaks going across it in an upward and arching angle. And I looked at it and laughed. I know exactly what it is. It's wall ride marks from a skateboard. But I realized I was like, and this is a long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago, I was like, there are a ton of people who probably walk past that and say, where did these scuff
Yes,
marks come
yeah.
from? No, because like, did a bicycle ride
It's a
up
perfect
the wall?
example.
It
If
makes
you
no
have
sense.
the practical knowledge,
Yeah.
they don't. They don't read the language.
But
So it's like I see a totally different world from them
yes,
based on what I know.
yes.
Exactly. And I'm so sick. I like friends. I like family. I like people that are arrogant. But I just did it because later I called those people up as a joke. Well, I'm like, you remember? And they go, oh my God, you did tell us Spotify. And I said, yeah, but I didn't tell you why. Oh my God, why didn't you tell me, you asshole? And I'm like, because it's to make you fucking pay attention to what I say.
Isn't it funny when like I think Joe Rogan tweeted something about Jones being right? I think it was the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like you know you could tell them, be like, you should have listened.
But I don't. It's my sick sense of humor. I'm saying that. But that reason I raised that story is I kind of am mad at myself because I've never bought stock. Why didn't I do that? But it's just I don't think like that.
Because it was
Why didn't I do it?
dark energy, like you said, like corrupted, tainted. I think there's something about purity or honesty
Wow, I just realized.
that is
What?
maybe not more. I don't know. This is a challenging conversation.
No, I agree. Anytime you exactly once you get in that ocean, you're in it.
I
have nothing to do with it. Not because I'm even some purist. I just there's something about the stock market. It's so evil, man.
I remember when like around this time, and I learned about this, and I thought to myself like, wow, that stock's gonna skyrocket. And then I just like carried on with my
Dude,
day and like went and made a sandwich.
We talked
and just
about
totally forgot about
library.
everything. I'm not in that
social
world. I don't
network.
do stock. I
On
don't-
a
it's
show
not my
yesterday,
thing.
we talked about library, and their crypto went up 200% yesterday.
Yeah, it's
Could be
it's
coincidence.
hot potato.
But when you talk like it's
Dude,
that connected.
I no. Look, man. One thing I really can't stand about the crypto stuff is that someone will go on a high-profile show with 100,000 viewers,
Yep.
concurrent, and be like, "This is the coin."
Wait, come on! You're telling me that everyone shouldn't go out and buy Ethereum right now? That Ethereum isn't a great
Well,
investment?
let me say the problem.
And I think
Listen to
Ethereum is really the best
it
way to
is
put your
good.
money, and it's a better store of money than Bitcoin, which is for losers.
Let me just say how this works.
Ethereum.
We all
ETH.
need new currencies. We all need blockchain. These are real sciences. We need new currencies. This is a libertarian view to free up markets and have our new systems to get out of the central banks. The problem is everyone's pumping a bunch of BS to make money on it going up at a pump and dump, and that's wrong.
And they want dollars. They don't want the crypto.
What
That's
about,
the
should,
thing.
yeah.
should Pump and Dump be the name of that pay-per-view threesome that you have
Yes,
with
I like
Joe
that.
Yes.
and
That's
Dylan?
perfect.
So listen.
Oh my God!
This
Pump
is-
and dump.
This is
with
one of the
Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, and Tim Dillon. The
Oh my
ultimate
goodness.
gay orgy live.
the big problem.
Now that is an experience.
The big problem.
That's the Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon.
I think that's going to be on Pornhub.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
The big
dump.
problem with crypto is that if crypto is going to be a viable currency outside of these central banks or the fiat stuff, people have to want it more than they want the fiat, but they don't. They want to buy the crypto, hoping that the dollar.
Yeah, it's
will get
all
more
pure
dollars out of it.
speculation. It's pure
Some crypto
speculation.
It's not
good.
pure speculation. It has some functions that people
some-
use.
But let me tell you,
for some of it.
Max Kaiser, you know who he is, right?
I don't.
Well,
You don't
he's
know
one-
Max?
He's one of the original guys. He tried to give me like $20 million of it or whatever. This is like 13 years ago at Bilderberg when it first came out. Or when did it first come out?
Oh,
It was 2009, I think.
Yeah.
2008.
Or 11 years ago. I never heard of
You
it.
know what year? Luke? No, I think it's 2008.
Point is,
8 or
I
9
didn't do it because I got it was speculative. It doesn't mean I don't think it's not a real technology. I'm not going to lead my listeners to that.
No. Listen. Bitcoin is a tremendously valuable technology. It's very, very simple. If I want to transfer value from here to, say, Japan.
No, I get we
instantly,
need a different system to. Yeah.
It's like the normal system for
pump and
like
dump?
if you want to give someone in Europe, if I want to hire someone in Europe and pay them to do art, right? So I hired some European studio to do the animation for my video, for the music video I did. Then it's not particularly easy to transfer money from me to them.
By the way, that was a good video.
Oh, thank you. But
We
crypto
got banned that night. We played it. And
crypto is instant. So give me your address, boom, you've got it. You file your paperwork in your country, you deal with your taxes.
I agree, and everyone that's doing it, I agree, should trade in it.
But listen. The current price of Bitcoin is meaningless. If I take $200 and buy Bitcoin and then transfer it immediately to you in, say, Japan, you sell it immediately for $200.
no, that's the whole thing. You don't sell it. You start using it as a store of value.
What
No,
I'm
you
saying,
listen.
what I'm saying is
So does that mean dumping it or pumping it?
no.
Both.
Listen. People
Centipedeing it.
right now are using Bitcoin to they'll go to someone and say, I'll take $100 of Bitcoin, send it to you, and you'll sell it for $100. That $100 transferred immediately, and there's intermediaries who make money off holding and trading.
Sure.
But
Sure,
we
just
get the
like
instant-
stocks, it's a trading makes them.
That's
but
why
it's-
everyone
it's-
should buy Ethereum.
It's a simple way for me to transfer value instantly to
Yes.
you, and we don't care about the coin. But the problem is a bunch of other
S coins.
S coins. We already swore, so we'll just say it shit coins. And what they do is many of them do literally nothing, and they're Ponzi schemes. And
No, I
they
know.
try and
I've
back
been.
it with
I
some
told you
fake
the names.
garbage.
I've had major, not to name drop. It's just weird. Major Hollywood stars call me and go, "We'll pay you $1 million a week to promote this coin," and then I literally don't promote it in like a month, 6